Welcome in to Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, future Tennessee Senator Clay Travis, despite the fact that I'm wearing a t-shirt from the state of Alabama today. I hope all of you are having fantastic Wednesdays. My name once more is Clay Travis. This is Outkick the Show, presented by Oddshark. Go to Oddshark for all of your gambling and informational related needs. And right here off the top, I also want to tell you to make sure that you are checking out my friends at Alumni Hall. They are the proud sponsor of Outkick's Top 10, as well as I talk about them every Wednesday on this show. They have the best selection of top brands like Nike, Under Armour, Columbia, and more. You're sure to find everything you need for you and your entire game day crew to support your favorite team. For a limited time only, receive 10% off and free shipping on your order with the code OUTKICK at alumnihall.com. Again, go to alumnihall.com. Put in the code OUTKICK. Whatever team you root for, you can get their gear 10% off and free shipping. Also, want to tell you, my friends at The Home Loan Expert, you need a mortgage, you need to get pre-qualified, you need to refi, go to thehomeloanexpert.com. They're doing an awesome tailgate tour with me this fall. And if you close out a loan with them, they'll let me know, mention Outkick when you sign up, and you get Outkick VIP for the year. All right, we've got a lot to get to here. I appreciate all of you coming to hang out with me. I hope, again, you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Want to go ahead and start off with this question. This is an amazing story that isn't getting as much attention as I thought it would. Have you guys seen the numbers for CBS? NFL ratings are tanking across the board this year. Last year, everybody said, oh, it's because it's the election. Everybody's paying attention to Donald Trump. In week one, all of the reports were, well, it's because of the hurricane. Irma has got everybody paying attention to that. Now in week two, CBS's 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. All right, that's me because I watch the Titans here in Nashville. That's a lot of you. The number one game that was being aired during that time slot was Patriots-Saints. 41% of the country got that game. The ratings were down so much that they had not been lower since all the way back in 1998. And I've got a statistic here for you. I am like, hold on a sec, I got to go grab it. I'm going to go old school here, and I am actually pulling out my newspaper, which I am like the only person in America who still subscribes to two newspapers, all right? This is an actual newspaper. I'm reading an actual hardcore newspaper here. Actual physical copy of a newspaper. This is called a newspaper, kids. These used to be really popular back in the day, all right? This is the Wall Street Journal. I get the Wall Street Journal and I get the New York Times delivered to my house every day, and I read both of them. I get a conservative opinion and I get a liberal opinion every day, and I can decide which side is more full of shit on any given day and any given issue. So that's what radical moderates do. We go ahead and constantly put two sides of an equation into our mind and decide who's actually telling the truth. All right. So there's actually a really good article in yesterday's Wall Street Journal, which went in the newspaper, and it was about what's it called? Why scoring has nosedived in the NFL. This was yesterday. This was before the ratings info came out. Ratings for CBS's 1 o'clock kickoff down to the lowest level in 20 years. Why is that? This is pretty fascinating. So far in 2017, we are seeing a decade low for scoring. We are seeing nearly a decade low in passing yards, and we are seeing a decade low in net yards per pass attempt as well as in sacks. Okay, so you think about that again. A low in points scored, a low nearly in passing yards, a definite low in net yards per pass attempts, which means guys are not trying to force the ball down the field. They're just checking the ball down underneath for short gains, and they're up in sacks. And so I've been trying to answer this question. I watch college football all day, right? I sit down on my couch starting at noon Eastern, and I watch college football until basically 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. Eastern, okay? And college football is wildly entertaining compared to the NFL product on Sunday. Now, partly that's because probably there's more games. So I can just click around, and if there are 14 or 15 games that are boring in the NFL, I don't have that many options. Whereas in college football, there's like 5 or 6 games going at once, so I can go seek out the game that is most entertaining. Also, the style of play is different. All of that matters. But when I saw that the style of play in the NFL is becoming, I think, antiquated in many respects, and when I also saw that CBS had the lowest ratings in 20 years, I went on Twitter and I tossed this out to everybody. I said, I'm curious, why are you watching less NFL? And I gave you 4 options on Twitter. You can still vote in this, but so far, 25,000 of you have voted in this poll, okay? The number one reason why people say they're watching less NFL this year is boring games. So if the games are boring themselves, that's a problem for the NFL. Second, and that's 37% of you. 32% of you said because of the protest and politicization, okay? The first one I explained, I think the games are boring. The scoring is down. It's not your imagination. Deep balls passing are down. It's not your imagination. Quarterback play is worse. It's not your imagination. The games are actually more boring. And I say that as a season ticket holder of the Tennessee Titans and a guy who's been a long-time NFL fan. The protest and politicization, I think, is also factoring in. And I've been making this argument for over a year, and people said, oh, Clay Travis, you never can trust him. He's conservative. He just makes stuff up. And now people are starting to say, you know what? I think there is some truth to this. And my argument that I've been making, and I have a pretty good cross-section of people that I talk to and I listen to, especially in the middle part of the country, is that for a long time, football was where people went to escape serious things in their life, right? It was where you went when somebody is sick and you're just like, man, I just want to get away for 3 hours. My mom's in the hospital. She's not doing well. I just need to get away for 3 hours and just take my mind off of it. And you would sit down on the couch and you'd watch an NFL football game, right? On Sundays. Happened a lot of times. Maybe you come home from church. You come home from church and you're like, man, I sinned a lot here lately. Come home from church and you're like, man, the world's kind of a dark place. You know, there's lots of bad stuff going on out there. Not a coincidence that you get home from church, East Coast, Central Time Zone, bang, NFL starting. It takes you away from the seriousness that you may have started your day with, right? And then what happened? The NFL became highly politicized through guys like Colin Kaepernick, through guys like Michael Bennett, through guys that are out there telling you that the world is an awful place despite the fact that they're making millions of dollars. And also the quality of the game is declining. And a lot of people are sitting back saying, wait a minute, Colin Kaepernick made $40 million. And he's going to lecture me on what the First Amendment means when it pertains to the national anthem. He's going to take a knee. Why do I even need to think about that? Moreover, when you used to turn on SportsCenter and you'd want to just hear about sports news, now you got a bunch of people debating whether Colin Kaepernick's a hero or not. Whether Michael Sam, because he likes to have sex with dudes, is a modern-day Jackie Robinson. Whether you got Caitlyn Jenner, who's out there walking around, used to be a dude, cuts her dick off, and is a modern-day Nelson Mandela. All these people out there, you're saying, what? What's going on? This doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And so I think what has happened, and this is the analogy that I have used, what has happened is I've got 3 kids, right? My wife gets mad at me because oftentimes the kids won't eat what we make for dinner. And dad is a compromiser when it really gets down to it. And probably in your life too, maybe your own dad's is this way. Dad tries to avoid conflict, right? Mom and the kids, mom and the boys, they go right head to head and they fight. Mom is like, you motherfucker, you are going to eat those peas. And I'm like, as much as I appreciate the fact that she's a lot tougher than I am, I'm just trying to avoid them fighting, right? I'm just trying to avoid my kids losing their mind and my wife losing my mind, right? So dad is a lot of times the peacemaker. And dad comes in and says, hey, you motherfuckers eat those peas, I'll give you some ice cream. And my wife's like, you can't reward bad behavior. You're incentivizing them not to eat the right food, everything else. But you know what they do? They eat the motherfucking peas, all right? And once they eat the peas or the green foods or whatever it is that they don't want, then dad will come out and he'll give them like an ice cream sandwich or some ice cream or some treat, right? Birthday cake, whatever it is. And as a result, we get a solution. But imagine this same analogy being played out. And instead of doing that, if I promise them a dessert, and then when they finish their meal, I bring out more broccoli, guess what happens? They revolt. That's what's happening with NFL fans. We got protests over Colin Kaepernick, and now we got counter protests because Colin Kaepernick's not signed. What that means to the average person is football ain't fun no more. Instead of being able to sit down and just watch people play football for 3 hours, now you got to hear about concussions. You got to hear about protest. You got to hear about the national anthem. You got to hear about racism. You got to hear about all this ridiculousness of the absurdity. And that's what it is, right? It's all absurdity. And the excitement level has disappeared. So I think the second most likely thing here, again, I asked people, I said, why are you abandoning the NFL? Protest and politicization has killed the NFL as a dessert. The NFL for a long time was a dessert. It was where people went to escape the serious things in their life. They always said that sports writing is the toy chest of life. That's true. But when the toy chest of life turns into the equivalent of the editorial page, and you feel like you're getting lectured to over politics when you're trying to watch sports, fans tune out. So that's the second most likely. The third, game you want isn't on. And this is where, honestly, I think the NFL needs a common sense guru. Like, I would be great to sit down with the NFL and talk about this. It is crazy that if you live in 2017 in the wrong part of the country, you don't get to choose which game you want to watch. This drove me crazy when I was in college and I went away to Washington, D.C. and I couldn't watch the Tennessee Titans. This drove me crazy when I moved to the Caribbean and lived in the Virgin Islands and I wasn't able to watch the Titans there and I went on a pudding strike. This drove me crazy when I traveled so much over the last several years out to L.A., and I wasn't able to watch the Titans there. In this modern day era, you should be able to pick whichever NFL game you want and just select it on your television and watch whatever game you want. And don't give me that bullshit about the NFL Sunday Ticket, because a lot of people can't sign up for DirecTV because of where they live, because it's too windy, because they live in an apartment, because they live in a condo, because they're away in college. They don't have that opportunity. The NFL needs to take the lead of the NCAA tournament. You might have heard me make this argument before, but listen closely here. When I was growing up, and when a lot of you were growing up, the NCAA tournament, all you would get was the regional game that was near your area. So I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. That meant if Vanderbilt, Tennessee, or Belmont, for instance, were in the NCAA tournament, we would get those games, right? But I went to GW for undergrad. And so if I wanted to watch, let's say GW had to actually make the NCAA tournament, I would have to go down to a sports bar to sit and watch that game, wherever I was in the country, because GW is not a big brand. It's not like it's UCLA or Kentucky where they're going to be on everywhere, okay? So what happened when they did their most recent deal? CBS went in with Turner, and they created an opportunity for you to watch every NCAA tournament game at once. So you could watch CBS, Turner, TBS, and True TV. And do you know what that led to? That led to a surge in ratings. It turns out when you give people control of options, they watch more. So they have all the scores at the top of the screen now. And if you're young, you may not even remember the day before they did that. And you can look and you can be like, oh, wow, that game that's going on True TV is really close right now. I need to flip over and watch that game instead of the one that I'm watching. And as a result, ratings exploded. Imagine that the NFL does the same thing in their new television contract deal, which is coming up in 2021. Imagine if they decided to kick off every game at 1 Eastern, the 8 or 9 different games that are on, and they put them on every television network across all networks, right? You could still give CBS and Fox first pick. They get the best games. You could still give ESPN Monday Night Football. But then you put the rest of the games on all the cable channels, and you give the fan an opportunity. NFL Network has a game all day long, right? They could have multiple games all day long. You give the fan the opportunity to click right in and watch whatever game they want. So if your game that you love your team, let's say they're getting beat 30-0, and you're like, damn, I don't want to spend the rest of my time watching this awful game. I want to go watch the other games. You put every game on, and ratings would increase. This poll is fascinating to me for that reason. If you found out that a huge percentage of your fans weren't getting to watch the game that they wanted to watch, wouldn't you be upset? 21% of my poll here is saying fans aren't getting to watch the games that they want to watch. And finally, there are a lot more options. Cord cutting / other shows is 10% of my audience saying that. So what I'm telling you is, if I were advising the NFL right now, I don't think there's an easy fix for for the situation with bad quarterback play. I think that's just an issue you're going to face for years ahead. There just aren't very many good quarterbacks. I don't think you can fix that aspect of the game. But I do think you can work on the politicization. If I were the NFL, I would say, look, it's bad business for us to be getting involved in politics, to tell players, look, you want to get involved in politics in your private time when you're not on the field in your uniform, that's your right. You can say whatever you want. But in those 3 hours when you're on the field, it's really bad business for us for you to go out and alienate any of our consumers. Remember, Michael Jordan had the phrase, Republicans buy sneakers too, attributed to him. And why did it make so much sense? Because Republicans do buy sneakers too. The inference there is that he's a Democrat, but he's not going to try to alienate people. And if you are in the NFL, you are in the business of appealing to everybody across the political spectrum. So when a guy shows up during your game and takes a knee, it actually really hurts your overall brand. It decreases the revenue opportunities that you have. It potentially can tank television ratings. And as a result, you are hurting the overall brand of the NFL. So I think it's really bad. If I were right now advising Roger Goodell, I would say get the fuck away from politics. Put every game that you have on television everywhere. Do away with the Sunday ticket on NFL. Okay? Put every game on. And do your best to serve the audience that way. Those are the two things I think you can address. I don't think you can address quarterback play. I don't think you can really address the 10% there for cord cutting and all the other competition. I think the way you compete is by giving people the option to consume the best of your product. So restricting artificially due to regional telecast your product doesn't make sense. And by the way, those television restrictions regionally were predicated on the idea of local television broadcasts. Everybody was afraid that people wouldn't show up and go to their games. Guess what? The NFL is not an in-person experience anymore. Look at what happened with Los Angeles television ratings. The NFL is not an in-person experience anymore. The NFL is a television experience. Do whatever you can to make the television experience better. I've got tickets this weekend for Titans Seahawks. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make that game because I'm traveling back from Chicago. So as a result, I'd be just as happy watching it on television, if not more happy, watching it on television than I would be in person. So anyway, that is my solution to why NFL ratings are down. I think the NFL is going to have to adopt the model that the NCAA, CBS, and Turner adopted, which is put every game on and let fans have the opportunity to watch. I think that would actually lead to higher ratings. Secondly, I got to tell you, I am getting a lot of attention today over my potential decision to run for the Senate in Tennessee. All right? I have said there are two qualifications here. If Bob Corker does not run and there's no incumbent, and if Peyton Manning does not run, I'm going to run for the Senate in Tennessee. You can take that to the bank, period. I'm not a liar. I am going to do it. Okay, so those are the two preconditions. One, no incumbent in 2018, next year. Two, Peyton Manning has to not be running. If both of those things happen, if we have no incumbent and if Peyton Manning is not running, then I will run for the Senate in Tennessee and I will win. And I will continue to do my morning radio show. And I will continue to run Outkick. And I will be the best damn senator in the history of the state of Tennessee. I'm going to do it. So everybody out there is like, oh, Clay Travis just saying this for attention. I don't need to say things for attention. I got plenty of attention. If Bob Corker doesn't run, and if Peyton Manning does not run, I'm running as an independent for the state of Tennessee for the Senate seat that'll be up in 2018. So if you are in Memphis, Knoxville, Tennessee, or all points in between, and you are 18 years old or older, you potentially could have the opportunity to vote for me in a United States Senate campaign next year. So I think I'll win. If there's no incumbent and Peyton Manning isn't running, I think I'll win as an independent in the state of Tennessee. So I'm going to do it. I will do it. You can take it to the bank. You're hearing it directly from me. I will be running for the Senate next year if Bob Corker is not running and if Peyton Manning is not running. If either of those things happen, then I'm not going to run in 2018. I'll just keep making money and I'll keep doing what I do now. Can you bet on the Senate race? I don't know. They might put up odds on whether or not I could win. But I feel pretty good about my chances to win. I'm good. I'm good at campaigning. I'm likable. And I said this. I'm going to be at the Tennessee-Georgia game next weekend. Not this weekend. The Tennessee-Georgia game is September 30th. I'm going to go to that game, and I am going to do a listening and drinking tour. All right? I'm going to do a listening and drinking tour. You always hear politicians say they're going to do a listening tour. I'm going to go all over the tailgate region around Neyland Stadium on September 30th. And if you want me to run for Senate, let me know you want me to run for Senate. I'm going to be walking around. If you're an Outkick fan, and a lot of people will be at the tailgates, I'm going to be on a listening and drinking tour. So I might be drunk by the time I get to your tailgate. But just so you know, that's okay, because politicians all the time say that they are going to be on a listening tour. I'm expanding it a little bit more. I'm going to do a listen and drinking tour around the University of Tennessee tailgates, frankly, because I think you have to be drunk to watch a game that Butch Jones is coaching at this point in time at Tennessee. So I can't be sober and sit and watch Tennessee play Georgia because Butch Jones will drive me too insane. So I will be going around on a listening and drinking tour on September 30th. That's, like 9 days from now, at the University of Tennessee for the Georgia game. If you are a fan of First Amendment and boobs, you can scream it out. If you are a fan of me running for the Senate, if you're a fan of Outkick, hopefully I will get to meet a lot of you. But that'll be the game. I'm going to go up for at least one game in Knoxville this fall. And so I guarantee you this. If there were Republican and Democratic operatives walking around with me on my drinking and listening tour, they would get nervous as fuck over how popular Outkick and I am at this tailgate. I guarantee you that there's not a single politician that would be more popular, and I'm not even a politician. I'm just on my drinking and listening tour. There's not a single politician that would be more popular at Tennessee tailgates right now for a big game in Neyland. A lot of guys get nervous. A lot of Republican and Democratic operatives get nervous. They'd say, fuck, we thought we were going to win this seat. Now Clay Travis is going to win it as an independent. Well, we better start sucking up to his ass. That's true, you better. Not going to work, but you better try. All right, so that's what's going to happen. I don't even think I'd have to spend that much money to run. I really don't think I would have to spend that much money to run. I mean, I would keep doing my radio show. I would keep doing my daily Periscopes and Facebooks. What I would do is a completely different campaign than had ever been run before. I would put it all on Periscope and Facebook. So I'd have a couple of young, us aides riding around with us all day. We'd have the best damn Wi-Fi package in the history of mankind, and we'd just go live every day on the tour. And I'd be like, hey, today we're going to Bucksnort. Today we're going to Memphis. Today we're going to Knoxville. Today we're going to Kingston Springs. Wherever we went, all over the area, and we would dominate. So I think we would win. That's next year. Again, the preconditions. I want you to understand the preconditions because a lot of people don't listen. That's if there's no incumbent and if Peyton Manning's not going to run, I will run and I will get elected to the Senate next year. And then I'll keep doing everything else that I do because I'm concerned about the financial element of it. I think senators only make like $170,000 a year, and I make orders of magnitude more than that. So I don't think I could live on $170,000 right now. I mean, I could, but my wife couldn't. So I can't put her on a diet when it comes to spending money. So I got to keep making money. So that's the truth. So at one point in time, I made like $25,000 a year. I was poor. Now I'm rich. I can't go back to being poor again. So I got to keep making money as well. I think I could have a radio show. There's a lot of legal loopholes there. All right. Questions from you guys. What else do we have to talk about? Any other additional questions from you guys? We'll do a rapid fire here, and then I am riding off into the sunset going to pick up my kids at school. Am I going to oppress black people? No. I'm going to oppress Asian people. Shut the fuck up. Such a stupid question. For the record, I am an Asian supremacist. We might sell Asian supremacist t-shirts, too, to raise money. Am I drunk? No. Does Penn State make the playoff? I picked Wisconsin out of the Big Ten, but I actually I got to give you my gambling picks. Sorry. I picked Wisconsin out of the Big Ten, but I think right now they are the best. All right, here are my gambling picks quickly. Florida at Kentucky +4, the under 44.5. Penn State at Iowa +13.5. Mississippi State +6 at Georgia. These are the picks that I gave out the minute the lines went public at Outkick VIP. You need to sign up for Outkick VIP if you want these picks right at 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Pacific every single Sunday. Michigan at Purdue. I got Purdue at +8. This is one of those lines that moved against us, but I still like them at +10. West Virginia -20 at Kansas. Love them. That's the blood bank guarantee, by the way. It's now up to 22.5. Auburn at Missouri plus 18.5. I got Missouri plus 18.5. It hasn't moved at all. Old Dominion at Virginia Tech. The line came out at 25s now to 28.5. And Alabama at Vanderbilt, I got them at plus 19. The line is now Vandy plus 18.5, and the over-under has moved down a little bit. I'm at 44.5. Okay, those are all of the lines that are out right now. That's how you get rich. You don't run with one person for the Senate. Travis Clay will probably not make a appearance on the campaign trail because it's too confusing for people. How many mistresses will I have? Not very many. I'm not very good looking. For Falcons, I do love the Falcons. I think they're playing incredible. I think they're the favorite in the NFC right now. Yes, Erin Andrews is still alive. She just got married. She's doing well. I think she's on the sideline for the big Fox game, right, with Troy and Joe. Would I move to D.C. if I was elected? Well, I would keep my house here. I'd have to get a place there, too, right? I mean, that's how it works. So I don't think I don't know. I don't think I would move to D.C., no. I don't think so. I don't think, maybe would I move my family? I don't know. That's way down the line to worry about. Is my wife friends with James Franklin's wife? Yeah, she's awesome. James Franklin's wife is awesome. Fumi. Yes, my wife is good friends with James Franklin's wife. Did I help on Harold Ford Jr.'s campaign? Yes, I did. Who would I caucus with in the Senate? Whoever gave me the best deal. Pants investment will not hurt my chances, but it's not bad. What's my net worth? 8 figures. Would you accept the congressional health care package? I'd probably keep I don't know, is it better or worse than the iHeartRadio health care package? I'd have to give my wife the opportunity to look at it. I don't know, because my wife's in charge of all health care decisions in the household, so I have no idea whether it's better or worse than the one we have now. Vandy game day must do. Just enjoy Nashville. There's nothing at Vanderbilt that's must do. Best candidate. There's a lot of different candidates for a lot of different options. I'm going to beat the Democrat. I don't have any. If I run as an independent, the Democrat will have no chance to beat me. Period. I will crush the Democrats. So I don't even care who the Democrats run. They have zero chance. The Republican would have a chance to beat me, but I think I would beat him. I'm not even going to worry about the Democrat. I'm not even going to run against him. A lot of Democrats would vote for me because they're not pussies. And then some of them would end up voting for the Democrats because they're pussies. And then the Republican would get a lot of like the crazy people vote, but then I would get everybody else in the middle and I would win. So that's the truth. ESPN will be incredibly triggered. ESPN will be so triggered if I won the election, especially if I did a speaking tour at Bristol. And honestly, a lot of people at ESPN would love it. Why am I such a piece of shit? Because people like you are losers, and it makes me feel so good. You know how some people like play for the love of the crowd? Like they're only people, like Kevin Durant's a great example. Kevin Durant can only handle the adulation of the crowd, right? He isn't a guy who enjoys playing when he's hated. If I had a choice between having a crowd erupt in glee when I did something to win or leaving an arena or stadium totally silent, would prefer the sound of silence because I like shutting people up more than I like making them louder. And so people out there who hate me that think, oh, I'm going to get him by going on Twitter and talking about how much I hate him. That's like throwing Brer Rabbit in the briar patch. That's like throwing me in a muck with a bunch of pigs. I love it there. I revel in it. I have an incredible time. So the idea that I'm going to be rattled by people who don't like, people are like, oh, politics is rough. I'm like, motherfucker, check my Twitter mentions. I've been living in the rough universe for a decade now. Ain't nothing anybody say about me running for Senate going to rattle me. I did sports talk radio in Tennessee. That's a lot rougher than what usually happens on a Senate campaign. Trust me. I've been on campaigns before. I was Jim Cooper's body man. I went everywhere he went. It's a lot tougher to be on the radio talking to people every day about sports and what they say to you on social media than it is to run for the Senate. Trust me. All right. I love all of you. Who is the coolest billionaire? I like Warren Buffett. I think he's pretty impressive. All right. Love all of you. You misspelled douchebag, loser. And I appreciate all that you do for me. Our campaign slogan would be, make Tennessee football great again. One part of the slogan, make Tennessee football great again. And also, I love the boobs and First Amendment. I love the First Amendment and boobs and make Tennessee football great again. Boom. Clay Travis to the Senate. Done. Don't even try and run against me. It's over. Big time. Touchdown. I love all of you. Don't be a pussy. getting closer and closer to running for the Senate. I will see you guys tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern on Fox Sports Radio. Ain't nobody flip a pen like this man. Look, this is what you get when you spend 20 years in school and you already know the answer to every question. You got to sit there and flip pens all day. That's when you have a great, functional, massive IQ. And that would soon be in the Senate representing Tennessee. See you guys. Love you. Kisses.